think
Money
thing. But what I mean is, I think at the core of that, the topic that you just brought up, is the belief that you need to work for what you get.
Yeah, that's true too.
So if the whole problem is giving people, free food, and that is that people think that, well, you can't just get that for free. You need to work for your food. So that's obviously an ethical question that we're coming up against.
But also the other thing is sort of like, well, the big fucking variable in everything we just talked about is the way we make food today. Very good thing, I'll just bring it up in a second. Way we make food today, and a sustainable way of making food. Sustainability means forever and non-detrimental to the environment. Okay, so those two ways, which we have technology to do, are the two things. Like we use petroleum-based pesticides, herbicides. We fucking use a petroleum-based vehicle to take the food everywhere. You use petroleum-based, like everything is oil related. So maybe you got to work for that shit. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. For some reason, that makes sense to me that you work for something that's fucking up.
It's beautiful when you believe in it.
Yeah, no. You got to work for the petroleum-based shit. You know what I mean?
Okay, right.
Like, because it's sort of like, well, fucking, I don't know. Anyway, the other thing I want to talk about is, do you know what our very good friend, what's happening? Probably won't use names at this point, but our very good friend has a brother who does certain things involving sterilisation. So what happens is that next year, sterilisation of implements, sterilisation of the human race. We're going to get radio shocked and then everyone...
Maybe the person does. Maybe you're talking about...
He works at a fucking dumbass clinic and the police find them and then send them in and then he sterilises them and off they go. The world's a better place. No, so...
well, we can definitely discuss that.
That's a possibility. That's good. I'm going to patent that idea. Set up a website. Suckersterilisation.com. All right. Anyway, what was I talking about?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about. So he sterilises. My sister's a doctor, and so whatever instruments, I don't think it's different for Victoria and Brisbane. There's probably one up in Brisbane. Whatever instruments they get, they send out a work order. Everything gets X-rayed to sterilise it. So zap, and then sterilise. That's how they sterilise stuff. They send the implements off. So as of now, there's a good thing and a bad thing about this. As of next year, 2013, there's not allowed to be any, Australia's passed a law, there's not allowed to be any pesticides or herbicides used on any of our fruit. So everything will be organic. Okay?
What? That's awesome.
Yeah.
When did this...
But this thing comes in, shit needs to be quarantined, shit needs to be safe to sell to the public. So now they're going to sterilise with X-ray machines instead of using...
Oh, okay. So it's just a different way of using...
there's a big uproar. Apparently, where our mate's brother works, there's been the Green movement has been camping outside of the gates of the workplace for the past year, protesting it. John Butler from John Butler Trio wrote his whole album out the front.
Really?
Yeah, because he's been there for so long.
Wow.
And they've been protesting because they say it's just sort of like microwaves. It's sort of like, there's been but you're nuking your food. You're using nuclear power to fucking cook your food. There's been nothing said.
Microwaves.
Like
nuke. I don't know if anything has to do with
it. Yeah, it's not. Well, look, it's a very small reaction, but anyway. There's been a bit of research put into this, but we're the ones to take it on. I think Australia's up there in the field of we're going to be starting to do it on massive scales.
Well, look, is it better than using pesticides? Because if it is,
how the fuck would I know? I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I just heard it the other day, and but this is actually happening. And so all the food, they build this massive thing. And massive X-ray machine. Food passes through, and then it kills everything on it apart from the food. Sends it off. So everything that, at least I know, we'll be eating in Melbourne. I don't know, I haven't done the research of the other states, but it'll be fucking zapped.
Well, what are you telling me?
I hope it's
good. What are you saying? Are the bad things about it, though?
I'm not. I can't say anything bad or good about it because I don't know enough. But I'm just saying. You know, we go down. We make a good decision, and does that good decision go to a bad decision? You know.
But that's no. There's no perfect way to do anything really.
Okay,
because you've got everything requires. It's a matter of finding a way that is better than what we're currently doing. So and it's a process of improving.
So it's sort of like down the lines of, well, look, there's been a few people with decayed teeth, so let's just put fluoride in their water. It's similar.
Okay, fine, sure. And you know what? Now that we're realising that fluoride probably isn't the best thing to be ingesting on a regular basis, we're going to probably take it out of the water soon. You know, things as we get better versed with technology and all that, we will improve things, and that's happening. Like, say for example, solar power. Obviously, solar is a better option than basically every other shitty way we're doing electricity at the moment, but eventually if everything changes to solar, we're going to come to a point where, oh my god, all these solar panels are having to be produced out of minerals coming from the Congo, and we're going to have to eventually palm them off and come up with a better way. So everything is just constantly being improved.
Well, the next biggest form of power is the fusion reactor, and that's a mini sun. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's a bit the next form of power that they're going to is not renewable because it's going to just create some nuclear waste.
That's what I mean. It's the same with like desalination plants.
Well, I think you've got to put a dollar figure on it.
Aren't as bad as what we're doing now.
You know,
at least they're doing something.
You're going to have to keep talking.
Okay. Now I have nothing to say.
Too bad.
We need to do a really long podcast, long, boring, and shocking on the food issue because food is just crazy what's going on with food. Like, watched this documentary, something like there's going to be, like 50% of the food that is produced in Australia or the world is wasted. 50% of the stuff that gets produced, and that's like through things like from the very source to the plate, the places that it can be wasted. So you've got some fruit. Shut up! You're over there. You still have to talk over me. Fuck off. So you've got the fruit that doesn't look quite round or quite shiny enough, so you chuck it out, and then you've got you've got the wastage in restaurants, which just makes me sick, and then you've got people who are fucking eyes are too big for their mouth. You can't eat all the food that's on their plate.
If you haven't worked in a restaurant before, you don't actually know how much food. If you haven't worked in a restaurant before, for one, you don't know how much food gets wasted, and two, you fucking don't know how much your food gets handled. If you think especially fine dining restaurants,
you mean
because
like just
when your food comes out all nice and stacked in a little tower, and you got the prawns on top and the steak, and someone has to get their fucking mitts, and no gloves, and they have to position all that food correctly.
Yeah, but I'm cool with all that shit. I don't care about that.
I'm just saying, I see what these chefs look like, okay?
Well, it's like the movie Waiting. That is so gross.
I don't really care either, because, Tess knows how disgusting I am. So
I have absolutely no regard for hygiene, really. Although I'm quite clean.
In this country, Australia's pretty good to go.
But I will eat my food from the floor if it's clean.
I do.
But anyway, so there's many topics that we feel very passionate about.
Like you said before, the human nature one.
Yeah, human nature is going to be a common thread. Philosophy and human nature and how they interweave with all these different real-life physical problems, like the reason we have these problems all comes down to a philosophical human nature issue. And obviously overseeing everything as well is this consciousness shift, which is this absolutely new, crazy new age. It's almost like a trend and a fashion statement, almost talking about consciousness now. But it's funny because for both of us, it has been a real thing, and that has come to us in a very natural way, without reading, without looking at anything else. We've both had really spiritual experiences where certain ideas about life and the nature of reality and the meaning of our own lives has come to us in such a natural way, in our own way. We've come up with our own religions, almost like Tessism and Shaunism, like really, really organic ways of thinking.
And we're here to start a cult.
So for us,
who wants to join?
So for us, it's not like it's not. I don't feel like we're rattling on about other people's ideas. For us, we fully believe everything that we say, and we're going to try and be honest as bad as possible. And
it's similar, like, you know, you got all these movements, you know, Venus Project, Zeitgeist, Zeitgeist, some people go, oh, it's a fucking cult, you know. If anyone doesn't know what Zeitgeist is, it's originally just breaking away the myths of society. So the things that are being told to us that could be true, or the best way to live our life, and you know, possibly they're not relevant anymore through technology or through information, and it's saying, well, look, you know, if you're ready, you don't need to think about things in that manner anymore. So, you know, it breaks down all the different religions, and, you know, in one of the episodes breaks down the economic system in many of the movies, you know, and basically saying, well, you know, is this the way of the future? Do we need to continue with these outdated concepts, or do we need a more progressive system? And that's where the Venus Project comes in. The Venus Project is a completely and utterly sustainable movement where it talks about how we can create a society through reconditioning human nature not to be violent, not to want to wage war on each other, but creating abundance in society through sustainable practices, rather than this economic system we live in creates scarcity. Okay, the more expensive something is, it means there's less of it. Okay, so we've now got the technology to create abundance. So if everyone has everything, or too much of everything, and, like, you know, fucking, I can hear the people listening to this going, oh, fucking, you know, utopianist jackass. But, like, you know, it creates real world solutions, and there's more movies coming out this year and next year, and real world solutions of how we can get over the fundamental flaws in our society as we speak. Yeah. You know, and the poverty, the 3 billion people on this earth living on $2 a day. The fact that the fisheries are 90% overfished and 70% are actually depleted.
And listen to this inequality fact. Apparently by 2000 and I don't know, whatever, 20, let's say. Yeah. No, when the world gets to 9 billion people, there's going to be 1 billion people on the earth who are starving, and there's going to be 1 billion who are obese.
Exactly.
Obese.
You know? It's sort of like whenever I hear the word capitalism, I look at that picture of there's a starving child in Africa, and then there's this fat little prick, American prick. Sorry, I don't want to put a name to it because there's a lot of fat little pricks in Australia. So there's a fat little prick in Macca's, and then there's a starving child. And
oh wait, stop there. Fat little prick in Macca's. I don't know though. Have you seen the most recent McDonald's ad for summer in Australia?
For summer?
Yeah.
It's all menu.
It's all about it's just like, oh, summer in Macca's, and there's all these hot chicks and guys in Macca's eating ice cream and going up to the teller, and they order their thing, and they pull out the note from their bikini, and they look really beautiful.
Fuck off.
Yeah. So it's like, we can all go to Macca's.
Fucking Macca's is disgusting.
Delicious.
It's too gross. I can't. I used to love that shit, because I used to. Fuck it. The person I am today was not the person I used to be.
Now, let's be honest. Sean has done a bit of a
360.
Not only 360, he's flipped upside down and turned inside out.
Yeah, inside out. Yeah, definitely. And
he now has a heart.
Yeah, I try. It seeps through sometimes. It's just filth people call love, and it's gross. But it's there, and it's what we need. Unfortunately, call me a hippie or don't. Unfortunately, that's the essential ingredient.
Unfortunately, the reality of the world is that love is
we need more love and less fucking hate and fear. So, the beautiful thing, the beautiful saying by Bill Hicks is just a ride. We're all just here, supposed to be having a good time on this planet. And we got two choices. The two choices is love and fear. Fear makes you lock your door, buy guns, and fucking, hate your neighbour. Love makes you embrace everyone and help everyone. If we all made that choice, one day we could be living happily, not working 50 hours a week, working 10, 20 hours a week, happily living, drinking wine, fucking.
Sometimes the shit we talk about these days, I feel like I'm such an idiot. I feel like I'm retarded slightly. Because I think about how I was a few years ago, and I was a bit more tough, and I would never talk about love like this. But now I fully believe, and I love love.
The impression I get from the baby boomer generation is that hippies gave love a bad name.
Yeah.
Because the baby boomers are like, oh, if I can talk about love too much, and then they're like, oh, fucking, they just want free sex, free love, and then, drugs and this and that. And you gave love a bad name, and so like through the whole